Hey everyone, Carnivore Marc here, coming back at you with a shorter video this time. Um, I had to make this video because I got a phone call from my doctor yesterday. A phone call I've been waiting for about a week and a half. Confirmation of our appointment where I'm going back, and she's going to go ahead and read me the riot act. Read me my blood results, right? So, about a week and a half ago or so, I had my blood work done, and I gave her that nice big laundry list of lab work that I wanted done, and there were 3 tests that she didn't want to prescribe to me. One of them was like an estrogen level check, so I forgot to take that one out of what I sent to her. But 2 of the other ones I would have liked to know. I just don't remember what they are right now in the car. Sorry, but what I found very interesting is that while most of the lab work, I was actually able to find out the results on my own because it was done through LabCorp. You have the LabCorp account online, and I was able to see what was going on. Everything was looking great. There's just one area that was a little questionable, but I'm gonna get into that in a. Let me silence my phone here. Okay, I'm gonna get into that in the next video, in the video that I share my blood work with you at. In my prepositions are all messed up. All right, so why is it so important that I'm getting the lab work done? Well, I want to know what's going on in my body, right? The last time I had lab work done was maybe about a year and a half ago. I started Carnivore about a year ago, and it had been like 6 months before that I was, a little on and off keto, but like mostly on, and I was doing that for a little bit. And when I was on keto and I went for the blood, testing, the doctor gave me read me the blood results, and she was very, very concerned that my cholesterol level was high. So I had done the research and the homework on cholesterol, and so I was able to calmly tell her, I asked her first, like, okay, well, what about the triglyceride levels? Are they low? She said, yeah, those are low. And how about the HDL? No, the HDL, no, that's normal. And I said, okay, so the LDL is high and the triglycerides are low. She's like, yeah, so we need to get you on statins right away. All right, she prescribed me statins. I never took them. But yeah, so she was flipping out about the cholesterol. Now, if you've done any research or additional research on cholesterol levels, you'll find that, if you have high LDL and high triglycerides, yes, absolutely, that's a problem. That's an indicator of your body not functioning properly, because those triglycerides need to be carried around and be broken down and go through all these processes, and your body needs to basically use it up. But if your triglycerides are low and your LDL is high, that tells a completely different story. That actually tells you about good health, right? But I tried to tell her at that time that the studies prove that higher LDL with lower triglycerides is actually an indicator of good health. She didn't believe me one bit. She said all those are that's just fringe studies, fringe research. You can't really put your stock in that. You need to trust the science. Well, guess what? What I'm going to be doing tomorrow is absolutely trusting the science. Now, I am going to go in there with a bit of an open mind, because I do want to know what the rest of the test results show, because it's not just that. It's not just the metabolic panel that I ordered. It was also some other things. So I want to know what's happening. So we'll talk about that. But I already know, based on her reactions there, and with the follow-up appointment that I had a week and a half ago when I actually had the blood drawn, and she was just absolutely like through the roof when I told her that I wasn't taking any of the statins. I actually forgot that she even prescribed me statins, because it's just in one ear, out the other. I didn't want to deal with that. Do you know what statins do? Do you know about the studies that when they gave Alzheimer's patients statins, they had mental decline, and when they took them away, they actually had a positive a reaction to that, where their cognition improved as a result of removing statins, because you know what statins do? They don't target quote unquote bad parts of LDL. They target all the LDL. You know what? All the LDL is necessary. It's part of the cholesterol process. We have HDL and LDL. They work hand in hand together. So when you're removing total cholesterol, and when your brain is made up of so much cholesterol, I mean, all of our cells, you know, the giant makeup of that is cholesterol, then you got to wonder, if you're removing that, well, of course you're going to have cognitive decline. You know, of course you're going to have systems go wrong, system failure. You know, and then when you study the the longevity of someone on statins versus not on statins, when you study absolute risk versus relative risk and how they lie to you on that, you get to learn that, well, if I trusted their research and I go ahead and take these statins, that's going to extend my life by anywhere from 1 to 5 days. That's it. 1 to 5 days. Do you want 1 to 5 days of after a lifetime of cognitive decline, or do you want to stay sharp and healthy until the end? I'd rather stay sharp and healthy until the end. All right. So here's what I am going to do. Now, I'm going to be, again, open-minded to all the rest of the blood work results, all the other tests, because, hey, if there's something that needs to be corrected, I'm not too proud to try and figure out what needs to get done to go ahead and correct that. But I also looked through my research again, looked through a number of studies, and there were 3 studies that I downloaded that really popped out. So I'm going to give her about 40, 45 pages worth of information printed out in her hands, and make sure that she does not refuse it. And you're going to find out why. Now, if I remember to do so later, I probably will. I'm going to get these links, and I'm going to put the links to these particular studies in the description below, because I found them to be very, very powerful. Because again, this goes back to where she said, oh, studies are fringe studies that say these. Okay. From the Taylor and Francis Online Journal, trusted journal, here's the title: LDL-C does not cause cardiovascular disease, a comprehensive review of the current literature. Can you get any clearer than that? I really don't think so. So that goes into the literature, goes into the studies, picks them apart, lets you know what was good about them, what was bad about them. Really goes through the history of the literature that we have on the associated risk between higher cholesterol and cardiovascular disease, which it basically debunks it all. All right, then we move on to the second study that stood out to me, which is now I went to a site called Springer Nature. I think it's like springer.org or something like that. And they have links to all the major journals. One of them is called Gero Science, Gero Science. So I'm going to get Gero Science. I don't really know how to pronounce it. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm just a regular guy just trying to be healthy and finding that carnivore is like the awesome way to do that. But here is the title of that one: Blood Biomarker Profiles and Exceptional Longevity, a comparison of centenarians and non-centenarians in a 35-year follow-up of the Swedish Amoris cohort. So they followed up 35 years after these people were in the study, that Swedish Amoris cohort, and they kind of tracked their lives and say, okay, and they found out what their blood biomarker profiles were during the study, after the study, and when they died, if they died, they went ahead and looked into that, their blood biomarkers at that point. And you know what they found? They found that the people who made it to 100 had higher levels of cholesterol. Period. Everybody who was dying early, 60 years, 70 years old, 80 years old, they had lower cholesterol levels. So what does that tell you? So I really don't want a statin. That's what that tells me. All right. Now here's the third study that really jumped out. This one especially jumped out because this is absolutely undeniable right here. If she denies this, I'm going to go ahead and call her a science denier to her face. I'm telling you. So the third study is LDL associated with long-term mortality among primary prevention adults? A retrospective cohort study from a large healthcare system. This is from BMJ Journals. And you know why this can't be contested? Is because this examines the biomarkers of more than 177,860 patients. And you know what they found? They found, once again, people with higher levels of LDL and LDL-C lived longer lives and had fewer cardiac events, cardiovascular events, had lower risk, less of an association with cardiovascular disease, higher cholesterol, basically made them live longer. So it makes you question, if I could do this as a regular guy, I'm not a doctor, I work an office job, I teach guitar lessons, and if I can figure this out, why can't the medical community figure this out? You know they're smart. I mean, if you read any parts of those textbooks, if you read the journals, if you read these articles, they can be a tough read. Sometimes you have to go in and do a little bit of extra research, like, okay, what does that word mean? Okay, what does this break down to Latin? So you get to, now thankfully, I have to be grateful, for that, because as I'm reading through them and I'm doing other research, I am expanding my own, capacity as I learn all the terminology, that they're using and understand how the studies work and all sorts of things. But again, you have to wonder, if they're this smart and these studies exist and these are easily locatable. I did a DuckDuckGo search. I looked into the journal archives. I found these, and it didn't take me very long to find them. Then why are they pushing so hard for you to lower your cholesterol? Or at the very least, lower your triglycerides. And how do we lower the triglycerides? Well, easiest way is take down your sugar, take down your carbs. Easiest way, lower those triglycerides. You know what's going to happen when you lower your sugar and carbs is, well, the cholesterol is going to go up a little bit because you're going to be transporting more fat around, because now you're going to be burning, quote unquote, burning fat, because now your cholesterol, which are transport vehicles, that's really what they are now helping shuttle around the fat through your system and finally using it the right way, instead of just packing it away, which is what, when we get rid of the cholesterol, we're basically getting rid of the shipping boats, and then nothing gets shipped anywhere and all the fat is staying where it is. And that's where I was for most of my life, and that's where many of you have been, for so long. So why, if the medical community knows these things, why aren't they saying it? Why aren't they recommending, low carb, low sugar diets? I mean, you go to the, diabetes, websites, you go to the AHA, you look up these recipes, and, what do you see in them is you see some pretty high carb stuff sometimes. You see stuff that is just loaded with, if not straight up sugar, those artificial sweeteners. You see things with tons of chemicals. Like, why? Why on earth are they doing that? Why are they allowing this to be propagated throughout, society, throughout the world? And this one thing that is responsible for literally billions of deaths. I mean, what is one of the greatest, largest causes of death in the world is cardiovascular disease. But even more than that is cardiovascular disease developed from after having a diabetes. So it's really, really wild that the scientific community, a lot of them, refuse, in the medical community and the medical schools, they absolutely refuse to cure your disease. They'll throw something at it to treat the symptoms a little bit, put a little Band-Aid on it, but they refuse to cure it. And it's us who have to run around, do our own research. And as a result of doing our own research and our own N=1 experiments, and, we try it out and we find that, wow, guess what? I didn't need any of those medications you've been prescribing me for 20 years, doc. Not a single one. All I had to do was get rid of sugar and carbs, and I healed. You could have healed me 20 years ago, but you didn't. So I do hope that doctors are watching this as well, because, again, I'm not a doctor, but I healed from over 20 years of misery and various conditions I was dealing with just by getting rid of sugar and carbs. Why don't you tell your patients to do the same? So let's see how these results, these blood work results, turn out tomorrow. After I find out tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and scan those in to the computer so I can find a way to share those with you and kind of talk through them a little bit so we can find out, what do my insides look like after a year on carnivore. If you stayed this long, I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. I hope in some way, shape, or form this encourages you to keep on going, to push through. If there's any naysayers out there, just do your own research. Do the research, do the studies, click on the links for the studies, do the searches if you don't see the links there, and just be healthy. All right, stay safe. God bless.